Hey folks, y'all have seen me cook a lot of stuff in a cast iron skillet, a grill, even a Dutch oven. But have you ever seen me throw a loaf of bread right there in the hot ashes and the coals? I haven't, so you better stick around so you can figure this out because I'm needing some help. Hey, thank y'all for stopping by camp on a beautiful day the Lord has made. He had, hey, there ain't even much breeze. Old Glory just sitting over there being so pretty she is. And hey, we know we have a lot of viewers all over the United States, all over the world. And we never take it for granted that you watch. But we do have quite a large number of viewers that are in Australia and New Zealand. Oh, we're so honored to have y'all. But we got an email from Janine just the other day from Australia, and she said, you know, Kent, I think y'all should maybe talk about doing, maybe damper, Australian damper, the traditional way. Some folks called it, bush bread. Long time ago, years and years ago, it was made with seeds and nuts and everything, and they'd grind them down to make a dough. And then there was just water and a little salt, a little flour. Hey, go to town.
Good morning to the Rollins family. My name is Janine, and this is my husband, David.
Good night.
And this is our taste testing team. This is Murphy. And this is Echo. Hope you have a lovely day and enjoy making our Australian damper.
And Janine, we thank y'all so much for the suggestion because I do like a challenge. I went back and done my research, folks. They throwing this bread right into hot coals. Y'all have seen me do this to steak, the caveman steak video, but not bread dough. Oh my gosh, I don't know what's going to happen here. But it was made really so popular many moons ago from the Aborigines and all the Bushmen that were working down there and all the cowboys down in that country. And there is a lot of cowboys in Australia. They call a ranch a station. So, hey, this was something that they could make on the trail that was so easy, but it was also easy to store. You could break off a piece of that, put it in your saddlebag, put it in your coat pocket. There's no refrigeration needed. This is something that lasts a long time. Sort of like the hardtack video that we did. But hey, these folks are just so glad to have it. So I got to wondering, how come do they call it damper? Let's think on that just a minute. It would dampen the appetite until you got something to come along later. It's not going to just make you plumb full, but folks, you can be sustainable. You can get by on this stuff if you're out in the middle of nowhere, or you just want to get in the backyard and you and the kids throw some bread in the fire and go to cooking. So, hey, we're glad to try out this dish. We'll see what happens. Have I ever cooked it before? No. So this is going to be a challenge, but old Kent is going to use his noggin today, and we'll see what happens. So to get started with this, and folks, there's not really a whole lot of recipe to this. Long time ago, it's just flour, maybe some powdered milk and water. You could put fruit in it. A lot of back then they was putting some dried raisins if they could find them. You could put onion in it. You could put bacon in it, ham, sausage, anything to make it a little more sustainable. But when you do that, folks, this is not going to keep as long as it would if it was just straight pure like they made it from originality. Originality? To start out with, 2 cups all-purpose flour. Now, so many people that I've seen that made this use what they call self-raising or self-rising flour. But we're just going to go with all-purpose. And we're going to start with 4 cups. Now, it will increase as we go along because, hey, you just got to go by feel. That's what bread is always about to me. How does the bread feel? Now, we're going to add a pretty good dab of baking powder because there's no yeast, there's no more leavening action to this, but we do want it to pop up just a little. The salt that Kent forgot, had to run to the wagon to get, I'd say about that much, which is just right. Go ahead and give that a mix in with your hands. Now traditionally they would have used what? Powdered milk, little salt, maybe a little dab of flour, and then some water. That was it. Now we're going to start with canned milk because, hey, this was something that we use on ranches all the time because it don't have to have any refrigeration. It'll keep forever. And to me, it has a really rich taste. Make you a whale sort of right there in the bottom. And we're going to start with what I'd call about half of this can, which is, let's see, about that much. Pretty close it is. Now, I just want you to go to folding that over there in that milk. And I know it's going to take some more, but we need to just mix it as we go along. That way we can sort of tell if we got enough or we ain't got enough. One more time. There's the other half of the first can. Because we want this to make a ball of dough that is really pretty dense in a way, but still has a little moisture but doesn't stick to your fingers when you go to working it. So here comes a little bit more. We're going to go with about 1/3 of that one. Just keep folding it around till we can get a pretty good dough, like I say, that doesn't stick to your fingers. And you can always just say, "Ooh, that's too sticky. We need some more flour." So let me get over here in the flour can. And this is when it becomes really a guessing game. Because when you add flour, if you get too much, then you got to add more milk. So, like I said, it's just by feel and touch. It is. We'll sift that in there so gently. Give it a little going over. And, ooh, I be liking that because you see that, but there's nothing here much. Because we'll fly our hands. It's not really sticking to this. We can make us a good ball of dough out of this. So let me get my hands on it. Get a little flour here. Don't do that in the house. And then I just want you to get it to kneading it just a tad to where we can get it out of the bowl and everything is about the same. Now, if you're cooking really a larger batch of this, and most people that I've seen were, it was 6 and 8 cups of flour. Now that's a pretty good dab of damper it would be. So we're going to set this right here. Get a cutting board over here. Flour it well. Dump it out there. There it comes. And then I want you just to flatten it out pretty good. While y'all wasn't watching over there, I done got me 8 or 10 slices of thick cut bacon. 1 yellow onion, because a yellow onion is going to have a little sweetness. And we're just going to scatter this out here on it. Now traditionally, remember, this wouldn't have had this. And like I said, this won't keep 8 or 10 days just sitting out because you have meat and something in there else. But make sure you get everybody in there. And then I just want you to go to rolling it over, and let's just go to kneading, because we want to make sure that we get that bacon and that onion incorporated throughout everything. So when you take a bite, you get a bite of each one in every bite. Now, I was thinking about, hey, this would be really good if we put maybe a cup of cheese in there. Grated cheese, you know. But when you're going to throw this directly in the fire, that cheese is going to burn really quick. And burnt cheese and me really don't get along well, so I'm not going to do that. Now, I will go ahead and give you this little tip here. Now, when people want to make this at home, you could make it in a camp oven, but when you can do this with the kids and you can think, we can throw this in the fire, but if you need to, a practice run, wrap this in foil first, then set it over there, cook you 1 or 2 like that, and then you can graduate on over there to the fire. Time I pull this out in a minute, if it's black, you'll think, oh, Kent should have used the tin foil too. Well, folks, we got her down there to about 1 1/4 inches. We kneaded it pretty well, we did. Now, I've got some coals that have burnt down because this really isn't going directly on coals as much as it is sort of hot ash. But I'm going to go ahead and give you another tip right here before we go any further. Go ahead and turn this over. Flour is sort of like an insulating barrier in this deal, so we need to coat it really well, top and bottom, with flour. That way when we put it in there, that burnt flour will peel off pretty quick. Turn it over on this side. Give it another good shaking of insulation. And I'll meet y'all right over at the fire. Lesson number 1 I've already learned. Build your fire 30 minutes earlier than you thought. And use littler sticks so you can ash the fire out quicker. Now, we're just going to go ahead and peel some of these hot coals back over here and see if there's any ash left under there. We'll see what happens here in just a minute. Go ahead and just keep raking to one side. Oh, that's what I like to see. Now, you can see there's a few hot coals there, but looking at the size of our bread and that little spot right there, I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. I'm going to go ahead and back this up some more so we ain't getting too much residual heat on the ends there. And let's just, oh, that's hot. It is. So, I have never cooked this before in my life, and I like bread. But we're going to throw it in the ash there, and we're going to see what happens.
Oh, my word.
So remember, you got it dusted really good on both sides. Throw her right in there.
Crazy.
And let's go ahead now. This is sort of like the caveman steak in a way, because you can get no oxygen under here. You've cut that off. You may get some smoldering, but you're not going to have a flame. Let's see if we can find some more ash to wake up there on top. Because we can rake off them big coals here in a minute. I just want to give it a light coating. And make sure you get them hot ones off there if you can. And I know y'all be thinking we're crazy right now, and you're telling yourself,
I think we are crazy.
I'm not going to eat that. He done covered it all up with ash. Now, I'd like to get me a little more right over here, so we're going to throw that up on there. Try to move the hot coals off of it if we can. You can see if there's any really big hot coals there. We're going to try to get rid of them. And I be acting like I be knowing what I'm doing, but I really don't. And when we get this all done, it ain't gonna be burnt plumb through the middle, I don't think, but it might be a little done on both sides. But that too will peel off. Just make sure you can try to get most of them big coals off there. And I see it. Now that's probably gonna go, I'd say 30 to 40 minutes guessing. Now it's sort of, how do you know it's done? Just like you do when you get a good watermelon. Know what I mean? We're gonna give it a good thump. If it sounds hollow in there, we calling it a done deal and going to pull it off there and brush the ash off of it, and we're going to partake in the feast. Well, we're going to let her cool off a minute. We are. Beats me. I don't even know what to expect here. I don't. We was 48 minutes. But when we started, them coals was pretty close to it, and I scattered them all the way back because it was pretty hot around this outside edge. As cooking went on and things began to get a little less heat, I brought them in closer. And even right there, probably the last 20 minutes, I just piled it all up on top of this piece of bread and let it go. Hey, like I say, we're 48 minutes. I don't know what it's going to look like in there. They say it's supposed to sound hollow when you thump it. So I don't know. Big, what do you think? So,
I'm excited.
This is not Memorex. This is live. It's just a little doughy there in the middle, but you can see that bacon and onion. I'm gonna go ahead and cut me a piece right here. Well, Shan, here goes nothing, sugar. It's hot. That first bite, it was too hot for me to even tell you what it was like. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and go on. It's cooled a little bit there. You can see the char, everything, bacon, onion. Well, it's different. It is, but the flavors there come out with the onion and the bacon. You get just a little hint of that. But the dough really isn't that doughy in here. It's just still pretty moist.
What about like the outside?
The outside, you don't really taste like, oh, it's burnt. You get just a little bit of the smoky flavor to it there and a little bit of maybe the ash, but hey, make me want to do the down under Australian. We're going to get over here, We're going to do the up and over from the down and under. Yes, it is good, it is. Now I can see where down there in the bush, them old folks get together, them old cowboys at a station or something, had a big fire that night, made coffee, everything, cooked supper. Next morning, make that dough, throw it over in there, rake it up on top, go do your chores, come back. Because really when you got all that ash on there, you're insulating. You're not really going to get the hot effect of the coals. So, hey, to me, we're going to let Shan have a bite because I think she deserves. Oh, the Big says he would take one. He said, a little crunchy, Dad, but it's not bad. Dooker, you got enough teeth to do this? I'm getting bites that don't have onion. Sade's in timeout. And Mage, there you go, buddy. Dooker, you want one more? Now, if you need a little extra help on this, and it sure don't hurt none, it don't, get you a temperature probe, and you can check it all the way around. Looking for a temperature about 200 degrees. That's about what I like bread. But like I was telling you, it's not really that it's so much undercooked as there's still a lot of moisture in there as this sets up. So, I mean, that's pretty good looking bread. And we're going to cut you off a piece, but no, these folks sent all this recipe up here. We're going to let you have a bite. Get you some of that crust, get you all of it. It is good to go. But really the crunch is not that bad. Now, you can keep you one of these when you get that off the fire if you want to.
It's good.
Yeah, rub that all the way around there, sprinkle you some Parmesan cheese on it. You've even helped it some more. But you couldn't, like I say, just put this in your pocket and store it because what? It has meat in it, it has onion in it. So traditionally, didn't have none of that. It'd keep for a long, long time. Well, I want to thank the folks from down there to Australia for sending me a little hint to try this bread. It was very challenging, it was, and I do like a challenge. It was a good deal. But as always, I tip my hat to all our servicemen and women, all the veterans that have kept Old Glory flying there in camp. It is such a beautiful sight, and we appreciate you one and all. Now, folks, get on in here. Come on back in here really tight. What we're going to do, give you a great big old hug, hold a little damper, and we're going to dampen your appetite till you can get there, and God bless you. I'll see you down the damper trail. Hang on, I got something in my eyeball.
Big, wake up.
He's a mom. Ooh, gotta get a spoon. I know you heard me mention it, but I want you to be sure and check out our hardtack video there as well because, hey, it's something sort of old-timey, traditional that you can carry around your pocket for about 20 years and eat that stuff. Be sure and check it out. It is a great video.